All right, we live. Welcome everybody to the LLC podcast for the lifted, the lowered, and well, they're just plain confused. So to start off today, let's talk about what we want to talk about. We want to talk about the definition of a lowrider?
Yeah.
How about we do introductions first, I guess, right?
That's a good point.
First,
I'm your boy, Three Wheel Willie.
Trent.
My name's Dean.
And I'm Peyton.
All right.
Dean's a big dummy.
Dean got stitches today.
Big dummy.
He is a big dummy. So there's a lot of debate on what goes into a lowrider. What is called a lowrider, right? Some would say has to be hydraulics, has to be old school.
No, not some. You.
You.
You would say it's got to be hydraulics.
Some would
Not
say.
many. Not many. Haters. Gatekeepers.
Gatekeepers.
You will.
Yes, gatekeepers.
You're asking
Listen,
gatekeeper.
I'm okay with progression, right? Everything evolves, everything progresses. Okay, so I'm embracing the fact that the culture is evolving, and there are bagged lowriders.
You drop the air quotes. They are low riders.
Drop that. Exactly. That's
Down
the
to the air
point.
quotes.
So when you say I'm not a gatekeeper and you do this shit,
No. Yeah,
Right.
Don't get me wrong. If you're gonna have a lowrider, personally, I wouldn't build one on air. Right? But if someone's gonna build one on air, that's fine. But for example, your 64, your Buick.
But
To
it's,
me,
it's not a low rider.
it's not. Thank you. It's not a lowrider. It's a bag car.
It's a bag.
It's a
right.
sled. It's whatever you want to call it, except a lowrider. Because it's not a lowrider. It's not on. It's not on wires or Kragers or.
Doesn't
or
have a fancy
Supremes.
paint job. Doesn't have a bright paint. It's,
curb feelers, the whole nine. It doesn't have all that, all the accoutrements that, you compile together as
so
a lowrider.
low riding embraces the Hispanic culture, I guess you could say, right? For lack of better terms.
Well, it's more than a
It's birthed
Hispanic
in the
culture, I
Hispanic-
think.
Hispanic
Exactly.
culture.
My Buick doesn't have any of the check boxes that a lowrider would need. I would say I don't have
I
the fancy
disagree.
paint. I don't have the patterns.
I think it could be a lowrider.
100%. If you switch some things up, well, realistically, the only thing you would have to switch, in my opinion, is going from your stock, was that a 16-inch wheel?
They're 15s.
15-inch wheel? And, switch that over to a wire, whether that's a 15, 14, or 13. Personally, a car of that size, that would be a 15. Wire wheel, standard offset, reverse offset, wouldn't matter much. Or, and this is controversial to some people, a Supreme or a Krager.
And that's a no for me.
I'm saying,
It's a hard no.
I'm saying, you're like this, that's a hard no. I'm just saying that's, I like that. That's my flavor too.
Well,
That would
it
be
all
the only
started
thing-
with Kragers.
That would be the only thing
Kragers
you'd
were
have
around
to.
before the wires.
Well, that's going back to like the lowrider aspect of it. The reason this all started is because lowriding, for all intents and purposes, was outlawed in California. So they had the cars adjustable to avoid police boogering them up. You know, the only thing available back then was hydraulics, and I wholeheartedly believe that if air was readily available back then, or as
100%.
accessible as it is now,
100%.
they
Even if it was just an option,
Yeah.
it would still be the same thing as it is today. There would be hydromatic and pneumatic. You'd have air ride on lowriders. You'd have hydraulics on lowriders. But as far as back to your car, if we good, your car, I would say the only thing to switch up that really would need switching would be the wheel selection. Past that, additives to the entire build would continue that process of making it a more appropriate lowrider. Whether it was, like curb feelers, a plaque, and then patterns, all those things.
the Impala would be a lowrider. The Buick, I had no intent. The Buick I wanted to look stock. I wanted to look like a '64 showroom quality Buick, and then we threw in the
Right.
little.
Well, but the lowrider game does that too. You can have a
see-
real sleek, simple paint, just a nice paint lowrider. Look at my 64. My Impala is just going to be a really nice blue with a pearl white top, but it's not going to have extravagant patterns or anything like that. It's just going to be a simple, nice, clean lowrider, but it's going to be on the sauce.
So where is that defining difference? You keep saying that's going to be a lowrider, similar to his, but
Because
X, Y, and Z. So what is the
Because it's going to be on 13s
okay?
and it's going to be on hydraulics.
Okay, so that's it for you then. That you just everything begins and ends though at hydraulics.
No, it's
Okay.
No, not necessarily.
Now, what if this was on hydraulics as the setup is right now? 15s, stock white wall tires.
15's too big.
That's a big car, bro.
That's a big car.
I get it's a big car,
It's
and
a big-
I.
So if it was on hydraulics, it wouldn't matter to you then. It would still be a what would it,
It
be
would
called?
be
What would be classified then?
a sled.
Just a sled on hydros?
Yeah.
So
A juice sled. Okay.
how many boxes do you need checked for it to slide into the lowrider category?
Not many. That's the
Not
thing.
even how many.
Not
Which boxes? Not screw
It,
how
does,
many.
it doesn't
Which
need.
boxes?
It doesn't need to be wires. 13s or 14s. Okay,
13s or
I'm okay.
14s.
I'm okay with 14s
Okay.
and hydraulics to me. Or 13s or 14s and air. For some people, not me. But I. But
So that's
I,
preference,
I-
but you're
I deal
allowed
with
to
it.
have that preference.
I
You
hope-
are,
I
you
hope
are.
You get beat by a fucking car and airbags one day. I swear to God. Come in second.
Gotta come and
Listen, I'm not a trophy chaser. I don't give a shit about that. Listen, so much
No, but
like
you giving a dirty ass look at the
no,
car.
and let me and I'm going to explain to you why I'm slowly embracing the air culture in the lowrider world, because with the hydraulics, like you said, it started just raise and lower the car, right?
Right.
Get over speed bumps, not let the police hassle you, all that stuff.
You got to
And
figure. So, sticking on that topic, like
Well, hang on. Let me give them a point here real quick. So, much like every culture evolves, the hydraulics evolved, and then became the hoppers. Right back then, okay, whoever can hop a beer can or a soda can or
Yep.
and then a bottle, you
Bags
were
of
the
chips
man.
with chipping.
And now it's
So.
you got these fools banging bumper, and now you got these quote unquote clown cars, these high lockout cars that are just ridiculous high.
We'll get it. That's a whole other.
It is a whole
episode in
nother.
itself.
It is a whole other thing. And I would, to be honest, and this is where people might hate. Leave it in the comments. Who knows? I would prefer a bagged lowrider over a high lockout lowrider on hydraulics. I truly would.
defeats the purpose of a lowrider. Because how low can you go if you're locked out and
Right.
built up like that?
Right. And you see all these cats, extended arms way back, the wheels
They got
under the
the
quarter
they got the
panel.
ball joint, 2 and 3 inch ball joint.
Yeah.
Extenders.
And that's the other thing. When is tuck too much tuck?
That's a whole
especially-
other episode right there.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, we got a lot to dive into.
There's a lot to
just
cover.
just
We're
the
going to get into
lowriders.
all that.
Well, then you got Peyton on the other way doing the stance.
Stance. That's true. That's
not-
true. This, like I said, we're going to talk about lifted, lowered, and
confused.
the confused.
But everybody looking at you when we say confused, baby.
Yeah, that's me.
All right.
Peyton, what draws you into these stance cars, man? What do you like
I'm
about
not
these
a big
things?
fan of like stance and stuff. Like that's
It's just import that word.
that's the
your thing.
imports.
Is it the car itself or is it the performance? at
Cars,
that?
performance, just
Okay.
it's just the noise. Honestly.
Okay.
Just the noise.
Yeah.
Vroom, vroom.
Vroom vroom. Okay, so
Speaking of which, when are you going to get your exhaust put on?
As soon as my car turns again.
Yep, there you
we
go.
got to fix that.
Yeah.
Power steering first.
I had a thought. I'm trying to think of what.
When I was going on my tangent, you were gonna say something.
I was going to say that it was just straight up and down back in the day, and now it's evolved into the three-wheeling and the hopping and all the other nonsense, which is not. It's what lowrider has become. It's how you.
It's not its origins.
No, not at all. It was literally up and down. Family.
And the reason it was up and
cruising.
down was only to raise up
Yeah, to avoid
because it
citations.
bumper, height restrictions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, though,
Modified vehicle.
That being said, though, who doesn't love bending the corner?
I mean,
No, I do.
listen, flexing the car, showing out, I dig it.
I love it. Hit the switch.
I,
You know what I'm saying?
it all depends, and for me, I like to have the option to do X, Y, and Z, all the above. I like the high lockout, but I want it to sit low, just like how I built my Ranger. Pictures up. Well, I'm sure we can put pictures up of that.
Yeah, I can. I'm gonna link pictures of Trent's Buick that is not a lowrider, so everybody can see. And I will also
the
link
Impala that is a lowrider.
I'll link
but
pictures
here's,
of
is
the-
my Impala a lowrider?
The Ranger, a few of our builds.
the Impala.
Yeah.
The Impala will be a lowrider. The
What about
Impala
now?
is on its way to being a lowrider.
What is it now?
Right now,
On 14-inch wires, blue and white.
it's not
lowered.
a lowrider.
It's a suggestion.
It's a work in progress. It's
I have shown the Impala, and it has been in the lowrider category. I've taken second in the lowrider category without the souths, without bags, just a lowered car on 14. So
That's it.
listen. I Man, that's a tough call. For me personally, it's a tough call. I see, and I know I'm coming off like
It's a very gray
gatekeeper.
area.
I
I
get
noticed. Even with judges, it's just a very
it. It
gray
is.
area.
It is.
It seems to be very preference dominated.
Yeah. I'm not against it. I just wouldn't call it a lowrider yet.
Yeah.
Everybody else does. Just you gatekeeping son
So
of a bitch.
my point was.
You shall not pass.
My point was what I was trying to make a point earlier. Like my Ranger, that could do it all. You do a very high standing 3. I mean that thing would almost hit your chin. The rear end, I think I had 20.5, maybe 21 inches of lockout in the rear, and that was just the cylinder. That's not even where the cylinder's replaced and how high it. I mean that back bumper was up to your chest.
Yeah,
But
I know.
the back bumper, when I laid it out, overall, the whole vehicle would be 2 inches off the ground, 2.5 inches off. So I had
It was a great stance.
I had the height, I had the drop, I had the ability to flex and bend corners and do a standing 3. One thing I didn't do, and I don't really like, I had a little tuck. I had about 1 inch extended upper.
But it
upper
wasn't too
A-arms.
much.
But I do not like. I like the high lockout in the rear, and I'm not trying to get off on a tangent on other things, but I do like the high lockout in the rear. But I just can't get behind, like a lot of G bodies in general. They really do it a lot. Is these like 2-inch extended ball joint, ball joints that they're running on the top of these A-arms and everything. It's just, and then they hop and they snap in them more so than they're snapping, your standard Moog, unbreakable ball joints and stuff like that. I get it, it's a look, but even then, when you do that, they're not able to go as low, again, as my truck. I could lock it up as high as I wanted to, seemingly, and it would just lay down so low. But when you put such an extended ball joint on that thing, the extenders and everything, you're also limiting the drop of it, and I don't like that. I want to be able to go down and just damn near scrape. So
I
again,
agree.
it's preference.
Listen,
It's preference because some people are all about that real high lockout now. But when they lay it out, that's some people's lowered cars. It's still up there pretty high, in my opinion.
Right. For example, the ones that I've built, right? My white town car, my brown town car, the Regal when I first built it, they laid out. People thought they were on air because they fucking laid out.
Yours extreme.
But
I haven't
they
seen a
got
Regal
down
that
pretty
low.
good.
in fact.
And then Dean got a hold of it.
And
made
then
it
and then we decided we wanted to try to
You decided you wanted a
step our
hopper.
toe
We
in the
made
hopper
it.
game, so we started to try to build it, and just I was it looked like a
Your
stock
shit literally
laid
came
out.
up-
It looked stock,
Yeah.
and I didn't like it.
It came up, I think, 4.5 inches, and you said it looked like a monster truck because you were so used to that thing almost laying door.
Yeah.
That it started to
I
look
didn't
like a
like
monster truck. So
So now the town car I got now, in the 64, they're going to lay out. I want them to lay out.
like
That's-
fully like frame or like within an inch.
Well, within an inch. I mean,
Okay.
I don't need them to sit on the ground. That's
I like that availability to
It's not laying
limp
out then,
home.
sorry.
well,
That's the gate. That's
They're
where I would
going-
gatekeep.
they're
Wow.
going.
If it's laid out, it's laid out.
So
You
they might
frame it.
not. They might not lay out, but they're going to get down.
It's gonna be beached.
I guess at the end of the day, it's really preference. But I would love to find, even not just between us, but just within the community, a common ground of. I don't know. I guess I'm not really looking for labels, but it would just like a clear depiction of this is a lowrider, this is not a lowrider. But
I don't-
what's the classification of these? It just sounds. I guess
I
lame.
think there's so
It's just
many
a
check boxes
bag
you're
of
never gonna
car.
get.
At the end
You're
of
never
the
going to get
day,
everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
at the end of the day,
You guys like this guy.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not hating on anybody or any style of car.
Just bad cars.
I'm not hating
No,
on
he's
bad
not hating
cars.
on bad- he's just
not
saying-
hating on bad cars.
I'll hate it. I'll say that.
And at the end of the day, you don't need to. You can drive whatever you want. I'll cruise. If you're down to cruise, let's cruise. And that's the community aspect of it. It's
Right.
not about what you're driving.
Yeah, that's something
unless,
completely different.
Unless you're one of them idiots doing donuts in an intersection, then you can get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
That's
I'll hate on stance cars. I'm not gonna lie.
they
Like-
are a little silly.
I'm open. Obviously, I've built mini trucks. I got the sled of the Buick.
Everything.
I got the lowrider. I've driven and built just about everything, and I love all of it. I love bags, love hydraulics, big motors. I don't get stanced. Like, what is lay purpose?
You want to know why I dislike stance the most? Again, it's all preference driven. Everybody has their.
You know what I
their
want to
preference.
say. You know what I want to
I
say.
know. I,
They are. You know what I want to say.
It's not a nice terminology. They are less than intelligent. We'll call it
Yes.
that. Here's my
they are
thing with
mentally
them.
challenged vehicles.
Yeah, they're mentally challenged vehicles. Here's my issue with stance vehicles. It almost renders it, in most cases, virtually renders it unusable. It's barely functional. Like you go down highways, any type of a bump on the road, you hit a credit card or a number 2 pencil, they're scraping. There's no way, literally, like you push a pencil down the road, you can't get up, screw an incline, you can't get over a speed bump, a hump in the road. It renders them literally unfunctional, useless. That's my issue. Now, if it was a preference as to the super high stretch on the tire to the wheel ratio with a 1 inch or so lip of wheel hanging out, and it's slammed, and there's a huge negative camber aspect to it, but at the end of the day, you can still raise it up to an acceptable level. You know, just an appropriate level where you can actually drive places, like anywhere, up a driveway or over a speed bump, then I would just say it's not my preference. I wouldn't think it's completely silly. Thank you. I wouldn't say it's completely silly. It's just not my taste. Like donks. And that all depends where you come from. It's donks or dunks.
See, and here's
That's just not my. That's the thing. I don't hate on those.
They're
but
cool.
do I see myself readily running out buying a box Chevy?
No.
And putting 6s on it? No. But do I hate? No, because some of them are very well done. However,
Right.
they're a functional vehicle.
when you take an OG Caprice or something, and you throw 6s or even fucking
And you tuck the
30s
booty a little
and
bit.
you tuck that wheel in the back.
In the back,
bro.
it looks good.
It looks good. It's a sexy car.
Those,
Right.
If a dunk's done right, they usually have some fire interior.
That's a big thing in that community is just the overall show out.
They got big music,
Yep.
big rims. I'm
And big
cool with that.
horsepower.
I'm
I am.
100% cool with dunks.
Big horsepower.
Like, is it my thing? Am I gonna buy one? No.
Right.
But I will appreciate the
It's
build.
funny. It's like the lowrider community is like real heavy in the paint aspect, but when you go to the dunk community, it's all like that. Those interiors, like
Fire.
the wheels are. I don't want to say they're secondary, but it used to be all about the wheels. Now it's like you look right past the wheels of some of these things.
Yeah,
It's
but
the interior is just
if you like 5'8" or below, you can't see inside the bitch to see
right,
the
and
interior.
it's insane. And I'm an upholsterer. I'm a custom fabricator. I have my own shop. I also work for a speed shop, and I also do upholstery. So as a stock and custom upholsterer, seeing some of these interiors and just the sheer magnitude of work involved in some of these vehicles, it's just I can get lost for an hour just looking at them, where most people would look past it. It's my profession, and I see the intense detail to the stitching, the fitment, and it is just some of these things are just outstanding. And I'm looking easily at $15,000-$20,000 worth of work, and that's, I mean, like in some of these, that's like basic. It's run of the mill, 15, 20 grand, and some of these interiors, and that's how far they go. Whereas in the lowrider community more so, I see it's paint, and again, paint has gone up.
Back in the
that's
day, it
more
used to
than
be the
paint, though.
interior. Back in the day, it had the crushed velvet.
And that's
the
it
leather
has.
They
seats.
still
that was
the
higher.
lowriders. We still do the interiors. They're just a little more subtle. They're a little
Exactly.
more. They're
Exactly. I'm not saying we don't do them,
upscale.
but just
And
not
it's
to that
And
level.
it's not just the paint though. It's all. Look at all the chrome or all the gold or all the engraving.
Yeah.
There's so much.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
We
the
gonna talk about it. We
engraving.
gonna talk
Yeah,
about it. And
dog.
when I say yuck, let me reiterate that. I'm good with it in moderation. In moderation,
You've proven that. You've
You
proven
know.
that. You.
gold in moderation on the right color scheme car. It has
So-
to.
Well,
And
I
that's
think anybody
that's where I
would
will
do
get you.
that.
That's just not. It's not my thing. Like if it's you, cool. If it's you, cool.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own preference, and that's the beautiful thing about lowriders is you do what's you. So.
Right. And I'm okay. So trying to stay on topic. My first adjustable vehicle was before the Ranger I'm talking about, which was a 2000. I had a 95 Ranger on air, but it was on air, but it was also 15-inch wires. Now, there's a lot of controversy right there. It was standard offset. They were 100 spokes, straight lace, but they were also 15s.
I'm gonna get close to the mic so the people in the back can hear. It's not a lowrider.
But everywhere I went, anybody that would see it, minus gatekeepers,
It's not a lowrider.
It was a lowrider.
It's a bag truck, bro.
Did you ever show that truck?
It's a bag truck. It's a mini truck.
Yes, I did.
What category were you when you showed it?
Always went to lowrider.
No, it's a mini truck,
I feel-
bro. It's a mini truck.
It's a
Even in
mi-
the 90s, mini trucks were on 15s, 16s, 17s.
Right.
Just
And I'm-
because it's wires
but
doesn't make it a lowrider.
The mini truck category didn't have wires. They didn't.
But it doesn't
They did not.
matter.
It does.
It doesn't matter.
You had wires.
Just
You were already all.
Lowriders don't just have wires.
They're
Correct.
Supremes.
Supremes,
Kragers.
Kragers, everything.
But yeah, those three. What other rims do they have? Any?
Yeah.
What?
You know,
I don't know. Please tell me. I don't know.
You got your
But it doesn't
Astro
matter.
Supremes. You got your.
Listen, it doesn't matter. 13s, 14s, lowrider. Kragers, Supremes, wires, straight lace, 72 lace, cross lace, whatever. That's a lowrider.
Right.
A bagged mini truck on some 15s, regardless of wires, to me, and to I would say 90%.
Well, hold on. It was more than just wires.
Right.
He had the mirror on the front.
Yep.
Mural.
I had a mural on the front.
So
Tell me, okay,
And I had
oh, please, tell me another
curb
90s mini
feelers.
truck that didn't have custom painted mural.
and I had curb feelers too, though. Come on,
Lowrider.
homie.
Although I've never had
listen.
I've never had curb feelers on
Come on,
lowrider.
homie. I'm just saying.
I'm not either. I'm not either. It
That's
doesn't-
okay. Some of us have
doesn't
taste,
make a
others
lowrider.
don't. I understand that.
My curb
Listen.
feeler is oh shit.
That so you will never
But so we are.
you
where
will
you
never
Say,
convince me that that was a lowrider.
so then again, it's all very heavily preference based. But again, I think we're getting down to like some hard limits here, some nitty gritty decisions here. So
No, we are not.
the
gatekeeper is.
gatekeeper.
I'm not a
yeah.
gatekeeper. I'm
So
spitting facts,
15s
baby.
standard or reverse. 15s are just out for you. It's not. It's
15s,
not
15s are out.
okay. So
I
now,
call
if this
shenanigans.
thing, let me ask you this. All right. So let me put this. Let me put you put this in your pipe as well. 15-inch standard offset on a 64 Impala. Hydraulics could be a whammy tank, could be 2-3 pumps, don't matter. Curb feelers and patterns. What is that then? And it's got all.
It's close to a lowrider.
That's going in the lowrider category 100%.
It's close to a
of the time.
lowrider.
It's close to a lowrider, but where is the defining factor?
The fact that it has so many lowrider elements.
Right, but where's the defining factor that where you're saying it's almost a lowrider? What's holding it from being a lowrider?
15-inch standard offset.
So that's what I'm saying right there. For you, when you say it's not just
So-
a wheel thing, you just made it a wheel thing. When it had all the other amenities of a lowrider, and then you
but
take
your truck
literally the
didn't
difference
have
of
all
weight.
the amenities of a lowrider. It had all the amenities of a mini truck.
It
I'm
had
just-
flake
I'm just
paint.
talk-
It was flaked, was it not?
It was
Black
not.
flake.
It was not black flake. It was not
It
black
had,
flake.
it had midnight flake.
It had flake in it.
It was a
flaked.
metallic paint job. It was not flake.
Your faux head's
There's
metallic.
a huge difference.
It had flakes. It was flaked.
It was metallic. It
flaked.
was a
This whole
metallic paint.
conversation is flaky on
Listen,
your end,
take it from the guy that paints a little bit. It was a metallic paint. It was not flake.
bro. You flaked your whole neighborhood twice.
You goddamn right. So I know a little bit about flake.
But my truck aside, I'm just saying, I just named everything that embodies a lowrider.
You didn't.
But I took one aspect and I just adjusted the wheels. I went up 1 inch out of a 13 or 14. I went up 1 inch to a 15, and I went from a reverse offset to a standard offset. And that right there had you saying it's almost a lowrider, but not quite.
So
Lowrider.
why has it got to be a reverse offset? Why?
Because that's.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I like the
all
soup.
of
I
this-
like the soup bowls myself. I do too. On my
That's-
Cadillac, I've got.
It's what it is, man.
What?
It's what
I-
it is. You could do
I've
a
never
standard.
seen this rule book that you're reading from, Boo.
I would love to see this
Because
rule
I
book.
made it up, man. That's how
So
we
wait,
do
wait,
it.
wait. When his lowrider is a lowrider, let me get in here real quick. When his lowrider is a lowrider, you have to remember he has 14-inch standard offset wheels.
14-inch.
Yeah, but
I'm good with 14s.
the standard.
But it's standard offset.
Yeah, I don't like it too much, but I'll let it fly.
Okay, so that's
The reason I have it is for the skirts.
I get that.
right, and that's without changing axles. Now, obviously, in
Probably
Impala,
still gonna have to change
you
it.
change
I'm gonna
axles or
change-
you
change
shorten
the
axles. We can do X, Y, and Z. You do all kinds
You
of
can do
different.
the Toyota
So-
axles, you can do the Ford 9s, you can shorten them, whatever.
How much sense does that make? You change the rear axle to put the skirts on, so you can get the reverse offset, but then you
No.
bring it inside. That doesn't make any goddamn
No,
sense.
I'm because
Doesn't
when
make
you
any
raise it-
goddamn sense whatsoever. I want to get the rims to
Just so
stick
you
out just a
can-
little bit, but then shorten the axle so they go inside.
It's
Well,
not
it's not
about
the
getting them
dish,
stick out.
it's
It's
the
about the
dish, it's the
dish.
dish, it's
Look
the
at this.
dish.
Look at this truck right here. Right, the wheels are going to be in there, but look at
Yeah.
the dish, though.
the dish, and this isn't even the rear wheel. The rear wheel is a deeper dish than that. But what's funny is even
Nasty bitch.
what's
Be a
more
nice
than
low
that.
rider on 24.
It's not a lowrider.
What'd you say?
It's gonna be a nice low rider on 24.
Not a lowrider.
Yeah,
It's a bagged bourbon, baby.
pulling threes on some foes.
Yeah. Pulling.
No, okay.
threes.
So, what's even more, I guess, contradictive of itself is to shorten up the axle, so on and so forth, to fit a deeper dish wheel, but then put skirts on it.
Cover it up.
80% of it, 80% of the time, you're not even going to see that rear wheel or just so much more of a lip.
Well,
of
here's
it.
the thing.
And when you lay it out, but no, when you're riding, you're going to see a bottom of a lip and everything like that, or close to it. But when you raise it up, you're going to see that deep dish. But yes, ultimately, you're really not going to see it the majority of its life. It's going to be hidden behind skirts.
Well,
but it's a preference for me too. I love the dish.
look at the Buick, right? How much of the rear tire with 15s? How much of their rim do you see when the bitch is laid out?
I mean,
not a lot at all.
it's
none.
eaten.
You see
Not
none.
at all, yeah.
You see a 1/4 inch of rubber sticking out of the bottom of that bitch. There's no point in me having any fancy because
The deep dish for me is not about the poke. I don't mind, pardon me, I don't mind a little poke, but I'm not trying to make my car or my truck look like a roller skate. However, it's that dish effect. It's just, that to me is gorgeous. It's sexy. I've got 14.6s on my Cadillac only because of the skirt situation in the rear. Now, I am, in fact, going to shorten that rear axle. This was to get it down the road and enjoy it at a static drop for now, just until I have time between customers' vehicles to, get the Cadillac under the knife and it'll get cut. But I'm able to have a deep dish wheel, but it's not a 7. If I had the time and the resources to have just gotten the vehicle, cut the axle, and then order the wheels at the same time, I would have went with a 7-inch deep instead of a 6-inch deep.
I got 14 by 7.
But even when it's cut,
I don't mind the 6-inch. I don't mind the 6-inch.
what's up?
I don't mind the 6-inch.
No, I don't either. I love them. I'm just saying, like, preference to me, I would absolutely in a minute, if I had the time, the resources at that moment to cut it, and time mainly is a big factor, and the space, I would have absolutely got a 14 by 7, and then cut that axle in the rear and shorten it up. Like I'm
We're probably going to have to do some stuff like that when we get into
But
the 64.
I'll be happy when it's, I'm still going to cut the axle and shorten it a little bit just so it's tucked a little further in and I get no scrub on the tire when I lay it fully out. So even with the 14.6s, I'm getting a little touch on that tire when I hit a good bump.
You plan on getting the Toyota rear end for yours? What are you going to do for the rear end of your Impala?
I haven't decided yet, man. So some people swear by the Toyota rear ends, and some people hate them.
I'm hearing a lot of that too. And they're
this
not
is the
really as
first-
strong as people say, but until you reinforce them, though, then they're strong.
Yeah, this is my first venture with a 64, so I don't know. We'll see. The smart way would probably be the Ford 9-inch. I know Pitbull Hydraulics makes.
Or you can't see it in
I've
frame.
heard.
We have a Curry over here.
Yeah.
Ford 9.
I think I'll cross that bridge when I get there, but I'll probably end up doing a Ford 9-inch shortened up.
Absolutely. I mean, bang for
It's
the.
a
I mean,
stronger way.
well, basically too, because we're building them. You're not getting it pre-made and just putting it on where they do a lot of Toyota axles, more cost efficient to build those and then sell them, reinforced, plated, X, Y, and Z, everything what you want. But being as we're building our own vehicles, and we're fabricators here, at the end of the day, you go with the stronger, more reliable rear end. You're going to do a 9-inch rear end, and that's going to be heavy duty, especially for a car of that size. If I had the choice between the Toyota or that, the Toyota may be proven only because they're selling them. They're people are popping those things out reinforced. I'm going to go with the 9.
You do a little bit of research on them, and you see a lot of guys are having the axle shafts just popping out of them. So,
Exactly, because again, it's a Toyota rear axle, and you're putting it on how heavy is that car?
Only like 3,500.
3,500 pounds.
Still, I don't want to be bending in a corner
And that's you see that a lot. You see that a lot, especially in some of the groups I follow.
Happens.
yeah.
So I would absolutely, seeing as we're building it, absolutely. You get a custom sized rear end, and we build that puppy up from there, and it's a Ford 9.
We'll build it right. That car is going to be full frame off. It's going to be right.
Like this, what's this? This is going to have shy of 700-800 horsepower on 24s. That's a lot of rotational force. That's a lot of grip and rip.
Torque.
Curry,
Fucking torque.
9-inch rear end. Gonna handle it, no problem.
Yeah.
So what's a low and slow vehicle? Even if it's got a little weight to the booty, it's gonna handle no problem with that kind of a rear end.
So just to answer y'all's question, according to Google, what makes a lowrider is a customized car with a lowered body. These customized vehicles are generally individually painted with intricate, colorful designs, rolling on wire wheels with white wall tires. Lowrider rims, generally smaller than original, ranging down to 13 inches.
We're not denying that.
So
What's it go up to? According
you
to
just said
Google?
wire wheels. It didn't specify
goes
between what
down to
sizes.
13.
Just go down. That is all it says according to Lowrider in the Wikipedia.
And again, in Wikipedia, it's mentioning it's
Don't believe
smaller
everything
than
you read on the internet, folks.
It's smaller than stock. It's the internet. It's got to be true. It's smaller than stock, and they're wires. Those are the two main key factors right there. I'm good.
Those are the
with
two most popular factors.
Popular factors, absolutely. I'm good with the 15. Like, I like them on larger, older vehicles. That is where, I don't want to say I draw the line, but like if I'm putting a 15, whether it's reverse offset or a standard offset, I'm even more preferenced to like a standard offset 15, whether it's straight lace, cross lace, what have you, on like older trucks, 50s and stuff like that, 60s. I liked seeing a 15 because they have such massive wheel wells because they were like a truck. We'll stick with the truck. Those are farm vehicles, and they have these massive. Like, look at this. This is an 86, and look at the size of the wheel well. And it's 24, and it's a nice size wheel in there, but this wheel well's swallowing it. I would put a 15 on this all day if this was a lowrider. I would put a 15 on that monster.
Well, here's the thing. My Buick, right? My Buick has that aluminum drum brakes, big ass drum brakes. I cannot fit anything smaller than a 15 on the Buick.
Without changing out the suspension.
I'd have to change
suspension
out
and brakes,
the
absolutely.
entire brake system, like everything would have to change out to put a smaller rim on. I'm not doing that. Like, this car is
It's a cruiser.
It's a
I
cruiser.
get it. I
Like,
get it.
if I were
But
to
it's
get-
also
And not for nothing,
a
I think it's
lowrider.
got that feel. It's that car embodies just chunky tires with a white wall, and cruise vibe. That lowrider vibe. But I could, it's so large to put that on.
It's a big bitch.
14s. I
It's a big
prefer it
bitch.
on stock or maybe smoothies or like you have the stock hubcaps with the white wall. It's just beautiful.
If I do rims, I'm gonna go upsize. I'm not going down on that one. That's not
No,
lowrider.
if I had that Buick, I'd throw some deuces on it in a minute.
Yeah, 20s, 22s, this guy has to. So, probably color match smoothies.
Ooh, sexy. Yeah. I'll color match them for you.
You gonna drop them?
Color match it,
I might.
drop them, flake the
I
whole
might.
neighborhood.
I might. We started on that air tank.
That video's great. It's the panic in your, the
We're
panic in
gonna-
your body motion as
He's
you're
gonna
running
bring
over.
up in this.
video.
You know what? Matter of fact, he's gonna bring up this video. You gonna see? He's gonna put it. You're gonna put it in this whole first episode.
So backstory: we were building Trent's Buick. We're bagging it.
3-week deadline.
backstory.
3-week
3-week
deadline.
deadline.
to get it
Current
ready for
humiliation
Slamfest.
with the backstory.
Trying to get it ready for Slamfest. And why not throw one more wrench in the mix? And I had to, hey, let's
Throw it.
color match the tank and paint it to match the car, make the trunk pop.
Beautiful champagne style color.
Yeah. So I hung it up on a
Coat rack.
on a fucking on a tent.
You hung
Oh,
it
it's on
up.
the
Hung it
tent,
up
it's
on
right
the
there.
You
tent.
hung it up on a wish and a prayer. Is
I
what you
hung
did,
it. No, the
homie.
coat rack helped. I hung it up on the
Oh,
tent.
and just so we're clear, the tank was a 12-gallon,
Yeah, it's a-
traditional all steel 12-gallon. So it
It's
was
a
not
big-
light.
It was a big tank. I hung it up on the tent. Everything was fine, man. Everything was good. Was trying to beat the rain. Saw it rolling in. Went to cut it down, and it jumped. The bolt that was holding it fell right on the ground.
And in his ring camera, this is the best part. In his ring camera, you see it drop, him panic, grab it one side, and then
Yeah.
coddle
The
it like
the
a
shuffle,
child.
The shuffle,
He
yes.
coddled it like a child, and did quick steps all the way into his garage where he disappeared.
Yes.
And our soul left our body because we laughed that hard.
It was.
We watched that a few times. You're gonna see
It
it.
was funny.
Your ring camera has just supplied some gold.
That's true. It
Like-
caught Sasquatch.
Sasquatch.
How the hell am I gonna get in that camera, and it catches a still shot of me looking like
Like Sasquatch.
Sasquatch,
What was the
half
exact
turned, half
verbiage from
armed
your
out.
camera?
It said animal detected.
Possible animal detected. And it's got me looking up sideways like this at the camera. And it says possible animal detected.
Fucking Sasquatch.
I think your camera's racist like you.
Racist. It caught Sasquatch. Racist. Says the cracker.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry.
the state rests.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. I know. I apologize. Saltine American.
Listen. All right. So I don't feel we've gained really. We've discussed, but I don't think we've gained really any headway as far as like anything other than preferences. It's pretty much just everybody's preference. I would
that's
just
what-
like the community
that's
as a
what it
whole
boils
to get
down
more on track
and I
with
think,
it. That's all.
And I think that's the point of this conversation. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what anybody thinks. As long as you like what you're driving and you're cruising it, cruise it.
Call it what you want.
Call it what you want.
Call it what you want.
Call it what you want and cruise it.
Call it what you want and cruise it. Just
Drive
don't
it till the
put
wheels fall
put silver car model paint on the bottom of your frame and
Jesus
call it
Christ, bro.
chrome undies. Okay, because we saw that at a show. I'm not gonna name names. We don't know who he is or her.
We might have to edit this part out because he's local.
This is why. Oh man.
But somebody sprayed. I'm gonna just say it. I'm gonna say it. Somebody sprayed the whole bottom of their truck in a 3-wheel, and man, they were proud to show it. They put that thing in a 3-wheel, and they were posted up by it. and it looked like exactly didn't look like it exactly was that. It was chrome,
Spray
Walmart chrome paint, right over
For the model, like the little
model paint all over the bottom of a frame. And I mean, it went over ball joints, back of
it wasn't even
tires,
just like metal parts. Everything under that bitch was sprayed.
everything was, and he was just posted up like on the block, just like showing out.
Hey, man.
And then Trent brought that to my attention. I had looked the other way because I was starting to
I
look.
brought it to I literally went up to everybody in our group and tapped him on the shoulder. I was like, "Did you see this?"
Good for that guy for having pride in his ride, man. You know, balling on a budget, faking it till he makes it.
Dude,
Over.
there's balling on a budget and then ghetto. That was
balling on a budget, and then the rest of your homies going, "Por qué?"
That was bad. Listen, that was bad.
Over
bad.
rust, over grease.
Listen, wild shit happens on the East Coast, man.
He hit the cylinders. He hit the strokes on the cylinders, man.
I know it. I mean, seals are angry.
I arguably painted that. I think he painted that before he got to the show.
He might have.
You would almost say the paint
At
was
least-
dripping wet.
At least touched it up.
I see what you did there, and I like
You
it.
see what I did there? See how I did that?
I hate all of you equally.
We hate a few people. That's a different episode. So
It's not an episode.
it's been a 4-year episode. I'm just saying.
Anywho.
I don't think we should brush over this topic.
I think we should. I think we should.
Oh,
I think we should.
hell
You
with
said,
brush.
so you said something earlier, Dean, and I'm glad you said it.
dripping
You
wet? Or
You said on the wheels that you didn't mind the poke. So let's get into some super pokes.
Texan wire wheels, aka super pokes, aka standard poke, gorilla poke, and orangutan poke.
How much poke is too much poke?
Pass.
I'm gonna go ahead and say
That's
all of
literally
it.
what the center of that wheel said. Pass, and it just kept going.
Again,
Listen,
I don't hate it. A little bit I do, but
again,
it's not for me.
That to me
I
is
don't
on
like
the
it.
level of lack of functionality because you literally can't even drop.
100%.
Like you're literally outside of lanes with that.
I
Now
was
it's
on
not my.
Instagram,
If
and
it
I
was
seen
just a
these cats
thing,
swerving, and they just hit each other.
And
Just
they
the
hit each
wheels
other.
just hit each
Yeah.
other.
and if it'd be
Terrible.
one thing if it was just they put wheels in everything. They put them on the back of the deck lid. They put them on the very back as a Continental kit. So then you've got a wheel poking out of the rear deck lid, poking backwards from the rear bumper, and then your four wheels, obviously.
Yeah.
And me personally, the smallest one they have, I believe, is like 4 to 6 inches, and I do not hate it. It actually looks pretty good because if you think of 4 to 6 inches, 6 inches is that much on a 15-inch wheel. That's not a lot of excursion of wire wheels sticking out, and it looks classy if it's done right. But anything past that, they start going into
I don't
10, 12, 18
I don't like any of
inch. I'm sorry, that's a chariot.
I don't like any of
That
it.
is an MFN chariot.
I don't like any of it.
You're missing a couple horses and a gladiator on the back of that hoe.
So those are usually 20 inches, super pokes. Maybe.
Oh, the super,
Are they that big?
the super, the super poke. Well, because it's like super
ones.
poke, then it's like gorilla poke, then
Well, any-
orangutan poke.
any of those
the
pokes.
highest one I
Right.
think the
How
last
much-
time I saw was like 18 inches of poke.
Name that shit. 22.
22.
22. So I would much rather just see
Wait, 22 inches of poke?
22 inches.
Okay.
I would much rather just see something on some nice standard offset 22s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But again, even if it was just the 6-inch poke, I think it looks on the right vehicle. To me, it does look good. It does look like that Texas flavor. But when you start going anything past that 6-inch line, it starts to look silly. And again, that's my preference. It's right up there with stance vehicles. But again, stance vehicles are, in my opinion, and it's hardly an opinion. They're unusable. When you start going to such extremes on the poke of these wheels, it's almost unusable. You're hitting things. You're almost tripping people on a sidewalk.
100%. I don't
It's
like
ridiculous.
any of it. I don't like any
That's
of it.
ridiculous. Kind of like, no different than a truck that does the Carolina squat.
Oh, yeah.
The dog taking a
bad.
poo. You got headlights pointing into the sky. It's outlandish. How is that even?
Maybe these people just can't afford the entire lift kit at once. Have you thought about that?
Or the entire lower kit.
Could be that too. usually lifted though.
Yeah.
Have some respect for people and their
Certain
bank
people shouldn't.
accounts.
Certain people shouldn't have kids. That's what happened.
That's a whole different podcast. That's a whole different
Yeah,
topic.
that's true.
Brothers and sisters should not have kids.
That's true.
Period.
We ain't in Kentucky, so we ain't got to worry about that.
Yeah. Carolina poke. Or wait, Carolina squat.
Squat life.
Yeah, can you imagine here?
Squat
Carolina poke. You got the squat with 18-inch pokes.
Oh man.
Woo, call that the Carolina
just,
poke.
Somebody just needs to build a hodgepodge of all the terrible vehicles. Just a
Stance,
stanced out, squatted truck with some super pokes.
Baby, we in Inglewood. All you gotta do is drive around for like 10 minutes. 10 minutes, you'll
That
find
would be
a hot mess with every
hilarious.
Lund accessory
Oh man.
auto parts store sell.
I will build one of those out of principle.
I honestly, that might be one of our
No
builds.
balls.
We might
No balls.
we might do that.
I'll buy
We get,
those.
I'll tell you what. If we,
Peyton's in the market for a new vehicle.
Here we go.
yeah,
Here we go. We can find him a nice little Tacoma, squatted down. put
you're
some
gonna
super
be
pokes on
like
there.
a moped. It'd be fun to drive it, but we're just not gonna admit that we're friends. So we love you though, but just don't tell nobody.
All right, sure.
We should a certain amount. If we get up to a certain amount of viewers, we should make it a goal. Okay, we're gonna do one of those vehicles. We put everything
Ugliest vehicle in existence.
ugliest vehicle in existence, and I'm not just saying pick one out of Inglewood because there's a lot. Say we're gonna build our own, but we're gonna have to decide of how many viewers we get to a point. We'll actually spend the money. and We'll build the most
That's gonna have
god
to be a
awful,
lot.
hideous thing. And not only, and I'll do you one more. We'll enter it in a show.
What category is it gonna be? We gotta put it in the lowrider category.
When they ask what category, yes.
Yes.
That's
it's-
it. Just
that's it.
yes.
All of them.
Okay.
It's
So
going to have to be a lot of viewers. A lot of
So I guess we can
subscribers.
just at this point agree to disagree that a low rider at this point, there's going to be a lot of heavier, controversy on, left versus right, on what style is what, considered a low rider. But at the end of the day, it's really just preference based. Because some people will say like a low rider, and to me, even, to me, to all of us, we can all agree it could be vastly off and extremely far from anything of the sort. But they'll call it a lowrider. So again, we could all be on the same page, and somebody else could be saying, "No, this is a lowrider because I've lowered it."
We had
Simply, that's it.
we were working on the Impala out here one day, and I was towing it home. Pulled into the racetrack
Right.
in Northport to get gas. Right.
Okay.
Some kids, like 16, 17-year-old kids, came up and said, "That's the coolest dunk I've ever seen." So
Did you then back over them?
no, I shook my head and I was like, "You just go get your fucking
And what vehicle was this?
the Impala, the '64 Impala."
Because you had 20s on it at the time.
No, it was on 14s.
14s.
So that's the coolest dunk they've ever seen. And I was like, I just looked at him and shook my
This,
head.
this brings me back to my point that some people, brothers and sisters mainly, should not have kids. I'm just saying.
If that's what they categorize it as, whatever they think it is, it is. To them,
Well,
probably every custom vehicle is a dunk.
Well, any old hot rod, because I build those too. A classic hot rod that's lack thereof paint or rough, if you will. Everybody just classifies it as a rat rod, and that's not the case. It's not
Rat
the
rods,
case.
what you got laying around, let's make your car.
Rat rods looks like you took, parts off of 10 different vehicles in a field, and it came to life. And that's fine. I like that. I like that aspect of a true rat rod. When they were first coming out, it looked like parts you had around off other vehicles, not trinkets, not yard sale items, which is what it's turned into, unfortunately. It was just parts of other vehicles to collaborate together and make one driving usable vehicle, and it was a rat rod. And that was when it was cool, in my opinion. Now it's turned into, people call it rolling art. That's fine. It's a preference thing. But to me, it literally looks like it went 60 miles an hour into a garage sale. That's what rat rods are now, today, for the most part. You see it, and it's not even about just using bare necessities and the bare minimum to get a vehicle down the road that's a classic, just a classic, 30s, 40s. It's now, let's just see what else we can stick to it. And they cobble these things together, and it's such, in a lot of cases, not all of them, I've seen some beautiful rat rods. Steve has a beautiful rat rod. But in most cases, these things are just so cobbled together because apparently anybody that can buy a welder from Harbor Freight, they're automatically a welder now. And they're unsafe and they're on the road, but this is Florida, so welcome to, the Wild West with cars. You can pretty much put anything on the road. and they're just so cobbled together and they're so dangerous. And then they just stick a bunch of stuff on it, lanterns and swords and heads coming out of the grill. It's again, that's rolling art, if that's what they want to call it, but it's not a rat rod. Things are just so blown out of proportion, like the stance car.
We're fortunate
You're the
enough not
gatekeeper
to
of the
have.
rat rods.
No,
That's true.
no,
That's true. It's
it's-
awful sound like it.
I'm just saying, well,
Sounds a
like
lot
the
like
stance cars.
We're fortunate enough not to have any kind of, inspections, vehicle inspections.
Oh
here
my
in
God!
Florida, so
Everybody, everybody would have their vehicle pulled off the road. Everybody,
a lot of people would. Yeah.
and it's
We don't
not.
have
I'm
the
not trying to be.
emissions nonsense. We don't
Yeah.
have
Yeah. No, we're pretty fortunate.
It's the Wild West.
and
Florida,
hopefully-
you can build
hopefully it stays that
anything,
way.
slap a set of VIN numbers in it. You can simply go to a car show. I won't name car shows, but there's one in particular that I know of. You can buy the registration or the vehicle information off vendors, and then just go home and stamp the numbers into your frame and build it up from there. And as long as they see those numbers in that chassis, it's legal. And you bought the what was it, the registration or the having a
What's that?
brain fart.
Registration's your tags.
Yeah, you're not your tag.
The VIN number?
Thank you. The VIN number. You can literally buy the VIN number, and that's it, and just stamp it inside of your vehicle with punches, and that's it. And just build it from 40s and 50s stuff like that, and drive it down the road. You can do that in a lot of places, but especially in Florida. They're not putting too much behind what's safe and what's okay on the road, and I'm okay with that because I like to hop vehicles and do things you shouldn't do in a vehicle, but you can get away with I don't think there's another state you can get away with as much as you can get away with down here, unless you live in Alaska.
Oh.
Yeah, not that I've seen, man. Not that I've seen.
Never
How
have
bad
I
is
ever.
Texas for stuff like that? They have emissions.
I think Texas has inspections.
Do they?
I understand.
I'm
We'll
sure.
have to, next
Some
time,
more than others, but
I'm
I'm sure Florida.
like Florida
will
has
get it
nothing.
eventually.
If Guerrero and his glorious mullet ever show up, we'll have to ask him.
I don't think Florida has nothing.
No.
No, Florida's got
A
nothing.
tag,
No emissions,
up to date, insurance, send it. That's it.
Full send, baby.
That is it. Send it. Basic. You literally have to have the basic things.
I need to get my truck squared away before any emissions law were to kick in. So
Yeah.
That's true.
I need to get that motherfucker taken care of.
Hell, here in Florida, you can do an engine swap in an O'Reilly's parking lot. I've seen it done.
There's nothing wrong with that, buddy.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. But you've tried to pull that in another state,
No.
and they're leaking fluids all over the
If
ground.
you're doing that, you going in to borrow the tools and taking them back or no?
I mean,
can.
that
I'll
again,
let
that
you.
might be on another episode. We might just try
let
something
you.
like that.
I'll let you.
We might just see if we can borrow the tools and do either a repair or a pump install
We definitely
in a
got,
Walmart parking lot or an O'Reilly's parking lot.
we got big plans once the shop's built. We got a lot of builds going on, man.
So I think we've done a fair bit on that one topic, but let's give a little background information. So this is a temporary setup. This is my shop, Dean's Seaside Customs. This is currently our base of operation for the moment. Will has a shop being built at his house. We're just actually at the point of you're waiting for them to break ground, correct?
That's it.
And once that happens, there's going to be a section where it's got a loft, and that'll be our permanent home, or not a permanent home, but our mainstay as far as the podcast. We're going to bring content
And personal builds.
and personal builds. There's going to be a lot of personal builds.
We'll film them and bring you guys along the
Yeah.
journey.
Some might be here. So most of them will probably be at his shop, his own personal shop, and we will be filming. So I guess that's what YouTube content of the builds in general, from stem to stern, start to finish, and it's going to be a lot of personal stuff. Outside of that, we're looking to do a podcast once a week. We're going to bring that content to you. It's going to be different topics every time. We're looking for feedback. We want people to give their opinions. I think that's the goal. Ultimately, it's not just a bunch of brothers getting together. I think ultimately we just want, we're looking for more voices in the community and more interest and more of a following, because it's really pumped up over the last 5 to 10 years. The lowrider community has really bounced back. Where it was hot in the 90s, it kind of died out in the
I'd say within the last 4 or 5 years, the lowrider culture
Just
here in Florida
exploded.
is starting to come back.
Exploded. I mean, it's just, to me, it's exploded. So
And the 90s were mainly you saw mini trucks everywhere. Like
Yep.
the lowriders kind of faded off.
Yep, and
mini
they faded.
trucks swept in, and now mini trucks have kind of gone into the existence. But they're bringing back the 80s and 90s builds, which I like.
Late 90s is when it started to
But
die
now
off with
the
the
lowriders, like you can't go anywhere without
Yep.
seeing something.
I remember Miami was all lowriders. Now it's all donks.
Yep. Yep.
You know?
That was I would say that was it.
Tampa right now. I think between Tampa and Orlando, I think is the hotbed for lowriders
It
here
is.
in Florida.
And it's a good
you know?
mixture of all kinds of
And
vehicles, but it's a big thing for lowriders
and
now.
there's great shops up there too, man.
Yep.
Guys building some real nice stuff out there, man.
And then there's some ones you should probably avoid, which we'll
There's
talk about later.
there's
We
yeah.
won't
I
talk
don't
about
I
those.
don't know. Yeah. Well,
But,
not even just that one. Remember the one that
The box Chevy that we
the
had.
box Chevy that I
Oh,
did
yeah.
that was done. Listen,
that was the Orlando.
there's a shop. I'm not going to name the name. I won't even name the location. We'll just say it's in
It's in
Central Florida.
Central
It's
Florida.
in Florida.
That is a reputable shop, and this car 4-door. What was it? A 4-door box?
Caprice.
Box
Four-door
Caprice,
Caprice
yeah,
that I had
four-door.
had to do maintenance on or correct a wrong was built, and in 7 days he did a 3-wheel in his driveway to show his neighbor, and the axle literally came out. It's like it sweeped its own leg. The axle came out from under the vehicle.
A lot of broken things. a lot
And
of
when I
loose
got it into my
bolts.
shop
Everything
to
broke.
address that problem, there wasn't a single, and I put this on my daughter, every single component, I will say that again, every single component related to the suspension in its entirety was loosened by my fingers. Not a single tool was used. I loosened cylinder sleeves, cylinder bolts to the power balls, the power ball collars. I can just keep going down the list. Oh, the bolts holding the what was left of holding the pumps in place. Everything was finger tight, and they had this gentleman driving on this vehicle 7 days. It's a miracle he didn't kill himself or someone else.
Yeah, thank God it broke in his driveway.
Broke in his driveway. We had to actually trailer it down to my shop to then fix it. And that's another discussion
I was looking
in
just
its
to-
entirety. But I will say this: if you're looking into the lowrider world or any custom vehicle, please, as a business owner, as a custom shop owner, someone who does upholstery and custom fab, and you guys also as other business owners as well, please do your due diligence on a shop that you're going to spend thousands of dollars on, even if it was hundreds of dollars. It doesn't matter. If you're going to alter your suspension, which is threatening at this point to your life if it's not done correctly, please do your due diligence. Don't just take the homey hookup or somebody said this is the place to do. Find out what they've done. Look at what they've done.
Make sure you know what you're looking for.
Make sure you know what you're looking for. And then if you don't, find somebody that does. Don't just jump ass over tea kettle into this world and just throw somebody $7,000-$10,000 and expect it to be done right, because I believe he was upwards of $8,000, $8,000.
7 for that.
Seven.
It was for
oh,
the.
yeah.
It was 7 for the setup and the installation.
and the install. 7 for the setup and the install, which is cheap in itself. 7 for the setup and the install, and parts on it were used. It wasn't a complete setup that was brand new. They told him it was, and
Rear
then it was.
cylinders were way too long.
It was
overextended,
everything, just everything.
was
Everything.
terrible.
There was parts on it that were used. The pumps were new, and nothing was installed correctly. The welds weren't. There was no penetration. It was extremely cobbled together. It was extremely dangerous. I ended up not just maintaining the vehicle and fixing the cause on that one in particular item, which was the rear axle. I ended up having to rejuice the entire vehicle. It was that bad. So again, do your due diligence. Really look into. And this is not a sales pitch for my shop. I'm just saying in general, wherever you go, there are some places. What's the one up north? Firme?
Firme Steel, yeah.
Firme Steel.
Hydro Works, they do
Every
amazing
job
work.
I've seen them that
Amazing
they've
work.
done, amazing work. I'm tip my hat to them.
Chop shop, Nikolai.
Nikolai,
The cut
Nikolai,
shop,
The
yeah.
cut shop. Is
The
it
cut
called?
shop.
shop.
He's
My
the chop
fault.
shop. The cut
Chop
shop.
shop,
They just
yeah.
put on that car show
Yeah.
last weekend.
So it's
it
cut.
looked-
So yeah. So
looked pretty
Nikolai is the
solid,
cut
so.
shop.
Chop. Let me see.
Chop.
Let me look.
Look it up. We're gonna look it up.
I think it's the chop.
Nikolai, shout out, bub. That man does amazing paint. If you ever get a chance, check out his Facebook.
No, we were both wrong. Drop shop customs.
Drop shop.
Drop shop.
Feel free to get in the comments and yell at us for calling your shop so many different names. We're trying to put a shout out to you, brother. Absolutely, he does. I've seen some clean basic installs he's done. That he's put up some content on that. Amazing, very clean, very well done, very well put together, well thought out.
I'd say his paint is probably.
But his
second to none
paint,
in
I'll
the
tell you
Tampa
what,
area.
second to none, man. I've seen him put a lot of information or a lot of content up with his paint. Outstanding job. That man is a man after my own heart. He's very OCD with the product he's putting out, and his paint shows that. So again, Nikolai, that's your guy for paint, right there. You want to, if you come with some money, you're gonna leave with some trophies probably with that paint. I'm telling you.
Ain't nobody chasing trophies.
You ain't got to
Yeah,
chase trophies. If you want to listen, you want to break some necks. Last
That's
one, I
what
think,
it's about.
I think the last one he did, he even did one of mine. He did a Cadillac, 93 to 96 Cadillac. He just recently did, and before that, or during or after, right? I forgot which order it went into.
At some point, he did.
At some point, he did. At some point, he did a C10, I believe it was recently.
Yeah,
with
the
white.
C10.
I saw that one with the patterns. Yeah, that was nice.
blue
And
Great one was
and those are just two individuals right there. So the individual jobs, the Cadillac and the C10, just
Now,
blew me away.
Did he do that orange Cadillac that he had for a
He
little
sure
while?
Oh
did.
yeah.
And the
He did
interior.
that. Man, that
I don't know if he did the interior himself. I think he had
He
the
had the interior done out.
yeah, he had the interior done out, and then I actually we saw it at that show. It was the first day, and everybody's head was breaking looking
That
at his
paint.
paint job.
That paint on that thing was nice.
I didn't even give the
I wasn't
interior really
huge-
a second
wasn't
look. I was
huge-
all about that
I wasn't
thing.
a huge fan of that interior.
No, I wasn't.
That's
I
not
wasn't.
my. That's not my style.
That was 90s,
But-
bro. That was 90s interior
Right.
all day.
Wouldn't it?
But that paint was sexy.
Gorgeous. Does a great job. Got nothing bad to say. I really have nothing bad to say about his work.
He does solid work. Very, very solid work.
Yeah.
Speaking of shows, you going Sunday?
Yeah.
Our local one.
Yep.
You coming?
I'll come through. I'll come through.
Of course
you
you
gonna
come.
drive
to.
the Cadillac? You gonna drive it?
You know what?
Shut up.
It's 10 miles.
Listen,
Fool.
if I don't get 6 more stitches, and I can drive, I'll drive it out.
You coming through Sunday, Justin? Oh, you working, right?
Yeah. Oh, while we're on the topic, another thing, I'm trying to remember everything that we're going to try to bring to you. So we've talked about personal builds we're going to do, content we're going to put out every week. Another thing is we're going to be doing, once a year, we're doing an out-of-state show where we'll be in that trip, in the duration of that trip, it'll be 1 to 2 states. And we are going to do out-of-state shows and bring show footage of that, content of that.
Yeah, we'll bring content. You can always check out my Instagram, 3WillWillie.
Yeah. A lot of great pics there.
Lowrider photography. It's good stuff.
Yeah. He does outstanding photography.
We'll be in Vegas this year.
Hold on, but you
And,
said you do lowrider photography.
Yeah.
Lowrider photography.
You ever doing any
Is that
bag
low-
videos?
is that
Any
lowrider
bag
on
cars?
Every now and again, I'll photo some bad cars.
Just wondering.
Okay.
Just
And
curious.
some imports too. There got a couple.
Is that in
imports
the
there.
comments? Do you put that below? This is a bagged car.
Hashtag not a lowrider.
Hashtag not a lowrider. Hashtag import. Hashtag I
Free the
hate you.
Caprice. What? No. Oh, sorry. See what hashtag we need.
So we're gonna it's overall it's gonna be a heavy background of lowriders in general, but we're also going to bring conversations, discussions, arguments, whatever you want to call
That's
them.
true because we're not just lowrider guys.
About everything.
I'm mainly a lowrider guy, but we also appreciate other builds.
All of them. Yeah. I mean, just tonight we encompassed dunks, rat rods, hot rods, stuff like that. So we're going to be on all over it.
There's a lifted truck in my household. There's a lifted truck in your household. You know, there's
Tow rigs, but
tow rigs. Well,
More than
my
anything.
wife likes the lifted truck. So
She does.
likes the lifted truck. Works out good for me because it's also a tow rig.
it also worked great for Hurricane Ian, by the way.
Ian. Yes, it did.
So, yeah. So we're gonna pretty much try to encompass the car community, but it's gonna have a lot of heavy lowrider influence on it. And
Well,
and if there's
bring
anything
a little
you
bit more than lowriders. So.
and I'll tell you what, in the comments too, if we have a lot of topics already like in the bullpen, ready to go. If there's topics that you want to hear us discuss, or maybe want to discuss with us through the comments, please feel free. Tell us feedback. That's what we want to hear. We want to hear feedback. We want to get this community closer and more discussions.
If everything works out, we plan on bringing in presidents or designees of local car clubs.
Absolutely.
Talking with them.
Yeah.
Trying to set
Doing
up
that.
cruises.
Shop owners, anything, anybody in the game that wants to get their word out, their name out,
Yep.
part of the cause, part of the conversation.
Absolutely.
It is an open invitation.
It's an open invitation, and that's if we don't invite you before you even ask. So again, once our base of operation is in a more secure location, at his shop, that's probably when we set up for a little more comfortable. It won't be a hodgepodge of chairs and a corner in my shop.
Loud ass fan in the background.
Loud ass fan in the background.
That's
24 beating me in the back of the head. It's going to be a little more comfortable.
We'll have to edit the shit out of this video.
Yeah.
Is it? Can you hear the?
Probably. We'll know once we play it all back.
The whole video. The The whole ass video, just us laughing. And,
Anyway,
all right.
thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe.